Ray, would you like to do Edward's job for us today?
Yes, I've dreamed of this day for all of the days that I've lived. It is, hold on, we got Monday, November 11th, 2024. Welcome to the show. Did I get it right? Did I do
Pretty
it? Knock it out
close.
of the park?
Yeah.
Do it with
November.
gravitas?
No, I think you got it right. It is November 11th. It is Monday. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct. You win the prize of, look at this. Look what I have on.
Oh, that is pretty sweet, Rod. Looks very official.
Yeah. For those just listening and not watching, first off, shame on you. Number two, I do have the official Microsoft Security Insight Show shirt on right now, on camera, on screen. Let me show you something else about this. We have plenty of these shirts to give away at Ignite next week, Microsoft Ignite for those in person. We're also trying to plan some opportunities on the show to give them away. All right, so some extra incentive, I guess. So it's this is what the front looks like. The back, obviously,
It
just
looks
our
sharp.
logo. We have the black version. We have a gray version, which looks super snazzy.
It does.
And the
Let's
really cool part about these shirts is if you look on the inside, the tag is actually also our logo. And these are high quality, super expensive. Because Edward, I had to say that because he's complaining about the expense already. But the sweat
material
wicking
is important. Yeah. For basically all of us are neurodivergent literally on the show, and it's prevalent throughout the industry. So having the appropriate material there and with folks with sensory issues, I think is important, and I think is very thoughtful.
It is, and I appreciate that. I have to be honest, I'm not a style person, so
because
I
it radiates
literally,
from you.
yeah, I just put on a shirt, and either my wife or my daughter tells me whether or not it looks good or not. So I don't care. I really don't care. We should kind of start the show though, just kind of recognizing that we had a guest scheduled for this evening for today's show. Unfortunately, due to a family emergency, they had to cancel at the last second. That's super unfortunate, but at the same time, just for our listeners, I would hope that you would just kind of keep them in your thoughts and prayers, because it is one of those situations that is super dire, and we understand that they can't make it. So hopefully we'll be able to reschedule them again. We have like 1 week open, I think, in December potentially, where we could put them in. I'm not sure. We'll see how it works out. But at the same time, they should definitely take all the necessary time they need for this. So again, it's just us today, and I think Ray Edward is not here. I think didn't he say he was stuck in traffic or something? So
Yes, he's going to find his parking spot that he usually holds up in when he joins us on the road. And then I noticed that too, the comment of you didn't need to put on a shirt, Rod. But okay, because the sweater is also, that's the next, that will be the next piece of swag.
Yeah, well, I have to be honest. So in our house, we keep it pretty low temperature all the time.
Sure. That was my dad's way of doing things.
Winter, yeah. So we bundle up. I have to wear a shirt. If I don't wear a shirt, then I'm just I freeze. So.
Hoodie, I think that is, for sure.
I do have my hoodie sitting next to me just in case it gets too cold. It would be nice if we did come out with a Microsoft Security Insight Show hoodie. That would be cool too. I don't know. But Ray.
Yes.
What have you done since we were last together? So we've had a week away since our last episode. We've had a full weekend. So obviously you've been super busy. You have to have plenty of things that you've done. Would you like to share?
Yeah, no, on the verge of losing my marbles, but that's fine. That's fine because that's when you're on the precipice of leveling up to greatness. I am a firm believer in that. Let's see, I'm recuperating from illness, but also getting a new illness again from the kindergarten, which is a garden of germs and mischief. But the kindergartner in my life likes to just make sure that my immune system is as robust and resilient as possible. So shout out to my offspring. I've been working with the team Defender Experts team. We're putting on our public webinar on Wednesday, and it's designed to be essentially anti-salesy, right? Like it's literally just spotlighting the technical expertise of our human-led service, and it will be showcasing threat hunters, researchers, analysts, like folks who are actually protecting organizations globally day in and day out. So very exciting stuff, having conversations with all of the key teams, obviously the content creators themselves, but also we connect with CELA and privacy, make sure that we are good to go in terms of the content that we're going to be presenting, and then also socializing broadly after the fact, and then also planning and preparing for conversations with our partners, because we love our partners and we're a partner first ecosystem, and brainstorming around opportunities to showcase all of their technical chops and expertise as well. So, lots of stuff happening there. Cranking away on my master's degree. Have one more course left before the capstone. So I'm currently in basically emergency response management. Exciting stuff. So it's been a whirlwind. I don't know which way is up, but everything's coming up, Ray. Just to put it into perspective. So no complaints from me. What about you, Rod?
What about me? I was going to ask. So what are you going to do with that additional knowledge? What's your plans?
After I get my degree.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Disney World. I've never been.
No, I mean, how are you going to utilize that in your existing role or your,
Oh, no. I mean, like, it's been instrumental in helping me have meaningful, constructive conversations, again, with the folks that are like in the trenches and hands-on keyboard, and to be able to use the same terminology to even have a framework to begin with, right? So my professional background is in project management, program management, and it was in healthcare IT and rolling out clinical systems and managing ed IT as well. But there's a difference between having a business lens and to be able to understand technically what is even being discussed. And when you have to swarm on a customer situation or incident, or write up a post-incident report, I think it's super helpful for me, at least, to be able to develop and cultivate that skill set. So I've been reaping the benefits from this educational experience since day one of the program. And once I wrap it up, this will be my third master's degree. That sounds really pretentious and obnoxious, so forgive me, everybody. But I think it's important to note that we take the growth mindset seriously here at Microsoft, and to be a lifelong learner. So after I finish that degree, I really would like to get some certifications under my belt, because there's always something to learn, and it's just challenging myself to show up and prove that I can retain the knowledge and demonstrate that proficiency.
That's awesome. Something we've never talked about, to be honest. I know you were on. I think your very first show was during Women in Cyber, right?
Yes.
So at that time, we kind of talked about how you got into cyber and things like that. But I don't know if we've ever talked about, and we'll save this here for a minute, talked about what you actually do at Microsoft. So I'm super interested, and I know our audience would be too. So we'll jump into that here in a bit, if you're willing. Oh,
yes. Now we're going to poke a bubble in the air of mystique that I have purposely built around.
Yeah, exactly. We want to know Ray. We want to know about Ray.
Does she even exist? I don't.
Does she exist? Hey, I'm going to share something. So I talked about Microsoft Ignite. Unfortunately, Edward will not be there with us next week. He has some other things to do. Um, I did mention before the show that maybe we would just make fun of him because of it, but I know he has things. I won't make him feel bad. But
He has business requirements that are taking
he
the
does.
so
He
his
does.
presence is required at another business function. Rock. He
Yeah,
has other things to do.
maybe we should make fun of. No, forget it. I won't go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you and I and Brody will be at Microsoft Ignite next week, right? So there's a lot I think that we have going on. Some things that I think I want to highlight. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll kind of talk through this while for our listeners versus the people that are watching. If you're attending Microsoft Ignite next week, I would hope that you would come see me or at least find me. I will be literally everywhere. Most of the time, though, probably focused on the floor or the expo around our booth for Security Copilot, around the theater sessions, the community area, and things like that. But I did want to kind of share some of the stuff that we have going on next week. Um, if you're attending and you're logged in to the Microsoft Ignite website, you can actually go into the session schedule. I don't know how many people actually know this. See, I have things added to my schedule already. You can either save whatever you have in there as your favorites, or you can add it to your schedule so it gets blocked out, right? So that you know exactly what it is that you're doing. I know there's a lot of really great content at Microsoft Ignite this year, and I'll tell you why I know that. Particularly from a security perspective, myself and my team, we're actually in charge of vetting all these sessions to make sure that they have good content, that they're not salesy, that they are technical enough. So I promise you that any session that you put into your schedule, you're going to probably find value if you're interested in that topic, right? So obviously, because I literally work on Security Copilot all day long, every day, that's what I have pulled up, and that's actually what's in my schedule, even though I've seen all these sessions before. But one of the things I wanted to point out, and I don't know if they did this on purpose, they've heard me speak or they've watched me on the show. But if you go in and look at all the things that I'm part of, none of them are recorded. What the? Like will not be recorded, will not be recorded, will not be
No
recorded. So there's
paparazzi.
yeah, so you actually have to be in person to catch these things. This one is a theater session, which is about 45 minutes. So walking through how to create Copilot or Security Copilot. Sorry, they're my muscle memory. We're rebranding it at Ignite this year. I call it
Wait,
debranding.
are we back to Security Copilot?
Yes, I call it debranding. We're going, it started as Security Copilot, and then we went to Copilot for Security, and then, okay, breaking news. Yeah, I guess I just gave it
We,
away. We're
we
going
went
back to
back
Security
down.
Copilot next week.
I had to build up the muscle memory to it's
It's
Copilot
tough.
or Security because Security
Yep.
Copilot was not the official name. But but that's because the world at large adopted it as Security Copilot, and that makes it we're reflecting the populace and their preference, and I think that that's wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah. I think over time, there's somebody that actually gets paid to sit in a room and they're like, okay, it's time to rebrand everything. And there's like they're on a timer or something. I don't know. But in this case, again, I started calling it rebranding, but then that didn't fit too well. I just call it debranding at this point because it's Security Copilot. And I've been working for like the past couple weeks trying to go back the other way. It's been difficult, and you'll hear me go back and forth constantly.
Which do you prefer? Because did you? I know you didn't start your career in marketing, but you had a nice long runway as
Yeah.
a marketer extraordinaire. So from your like professional perspective, what do you think is more impactful? What's your preference?
I prefer Security Copilot because honestly, it rolls off the tongue a little better. It's easier to say, it's easier to
Yeah.
talk about. But I don't think our customers ever transitioned either. right? It's like still security copilot. I go speak at these conferences and I say copilot for security and they say security copilot
Yep.
still, right? It's just the way it is. It's just like the difference between people calling it Azure versus Azure in Europe, or trying to think there's a couple other things that
Entra.
Entra, no, sorry. It's
I know,
Azure Active Directory.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that is there's
Yeah.
competing perspectives there.
Well, so for us, even at Microsoft, it's Entra, but for customers, it's still Azure Active Directory. So there you go. It's just, Security Copilot, I think it's much better. And you'll see if you go into the Ignite website, you can see this, right? We didn't hide it at all. So it's not like I'm giving anything away. Everything says Security Copilot on the Ignite website for the sessions. There's a couple labs that I'll be involved in, also not recorded. Someone, one of our audience members, asked whether the slides will be shared. And I will promise I will share the slides for the theater session. I promise I will share the slides and the lab material after Microsoft Ignite. If you're looking for that, I will share it in our Security Copilot LinkedIn group. So that's where you'll find it. If you're not a member of that, go request to become a member. I think we have like 5,000 members at this point. So a lot of people interested in Security Copilot. But I'll be involved in a lot of this stuff. None of it will be recorded. Again, I don't know if I should be offended. But just to give you, and here's another super secret thing. Not everybody gets to see this. This is one of our marketing slides, by the way. Speaking of marketing. So just to give you a quick view of what we will be talking about at Security Copilot. And this is just the stuff focused solely on Security Copilot. We do have a lot of other sessions that has Security Copilot as part of those sessions, including things like Purview. I think, Ray, didn't you say that Dex is going to do some Security Copilot stuff? Potentially, we'll talk about that.
So we're behind the scenes and we're just waiting for it to be posted on our like Microsoft branded GitHub. But we have an integration with, at the time it was Copilot for Security, but now Security Copilot and Defender Experts Insights, essentially. So we built a plugin, so that's pretty exciting. And I hope that it would be available today, but as soon as it's released, I will share it with the community because we're all very eager to have it available for folks.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody can see this. The keynote's going to be fantastic. I just realized looking at this slide on Tuesday from 11:15, 11:45 is that theater session I was talking about, but I think somebody tried to put something else on my schedule. I'm going to go look at that later because that is definitely a conflict. And so anyway, there's a good view. If anybody wants to screen capture that and go take a look at that later, even for listeners, come back to our show page. What's that?
This is where you're going to be? These are all the sessions that you're going to be attending and leading?
I will be at all of these. I will also be at the booth if I'm not at any of these, because we do have a Security Copilot kiosk in the security area on the show floor. I'll probably also be in the MISA area, our partners area, for a little while, so I won't be hard to find. Plus, I don't have I'll be wearing this shirt at least one day of the week. I'm not going to wear it all week. That's just gross.
I like a good uniform. It makes it easy for me to just, yes, I'm good to go.
I did mention I'll be working on a blog for all that stuff that's going on for Security Copilot. That should be posted tomorrow, I think, to our Security Copilot blog site. So look for that if you're interested. And I hope you are. I hope you are. I really do. I hope Copilot for security. Oh man, did you hear me? I hope Security Copilot is in your future.
And what about your punch card? Apparently, Brody even got invited to a party we weren't invited to. Brody's never been, so I don't know what kind of connections he had.
Well, I have never met Brody in person, but I've seen him in pictures standing with people that I have met before, and he's a monster. Dude's tall.
That's not what is. Okay, I meant like the event because I know that Brody he said because Brody, to be fair, community, Brody was trying to organize an outing, maybe a hockey game,
Oh, right.
to
Yeah.
humanize ourselves, and he's all about that team spirit, and we love him for it. But everyone's just like, we got work to do, Brody. But it's like, oh shucks. But then it turns out he received a VIP invite to an event that I'm not privy to. Rod, I don't know if you're privy to it. If you're gonna, it was his special VIP up on top of the.
Oh yeah, was that Tuesday night, I believe.
I'm not sure. There was one where we all got it, and then there was another one where he said, "Sorry guys, it's a VIP invite for me."
Well, and that's a good thing to highlight. Anyone attending Microsoft Ignite next week, visit the show floor, talk to the vendors and our partners, and keep an ear open because there will be invites for parties all week. You just need to probably either watch a demo, talk to them about their product, show interest. Interest is important. And then be like, hey, come to this party. Show interest and then like pull out your checkbook or something like, yeah, I'm walking, or your credit card. Yeah, I'm looking for product. And then they'll invite you to their party.
I don't think it'll be too hard to be genuinely interested and fascinated by the products, especially what our partners are doing, leveraging Microsoft. So I think it'll be pretty straightforward.
I just got a text from Edward. Edward is trying to get somewhere where he can. I can't hold my phone and get a ticket. Oh, he's traveling and he doesn't want to get a ticket because he has his phone in his hand. And he can't pull over in the freeway. It's okay. It's all right. But he's not going to be with us next week, so we really have nothing to talk about, do we?
Not true. I mean, I would love to pick your brain. We can just talk about even the prep call we had with our guest who was scheduled to join us today. They had questions around, at the time, Copilot for security, but security Copilot, and thinking more creatively around how to combine the power of their narrative attack solution with Copilot for security or security Copilot, right? Like integration opportunities. So that's a thread we can dig into. And just in general, more broadly, like if we wanted to create a plugin, what would be the steps to keep top of mind, things of that nature. And then, Rod, I'm not sure if there is anything else you wanted to showcase in terms of your goings on, your events, or anything that you're particularly stoked about, because you do a lot. You're all over the place. You're on the circuit day in and day out, and I know this is not your first rodeo at Ignite. So in terms of this upcoming Ignite experience, what are you most looking forward to? Seeing Brody in person? Is that
Oh, that's definitely going to be a highlight. Yeah. I've got that earmarked as one of the. It's like a bucket list thing. It's like going to the Wall of China, right? One of those bucket list things. Meeting Brody. I tell you, I met Edward in person. We did a show together. We were in person at a show in Seattle at Ignite last year in Seattle.
That's the first time you met in person last year?
Yep. And I'm not too manly to say, but first time we saw each other, we gave each other a deep hug because we had been friends for ever. And that was the first time we saw each other in person, and it was awesome.
That's really wild for me. I was not aware that like your first corporeal interaction was in recent history. That's really beautiful.
Oh, Gary asks, was it a bigger bucket list item for me, meeting lead majors, or will it be Brody? That's tough. So for those that aren't aware, you can see if you're watching, you can see my back wall is littered with $6 Million Man memorabilia from the 1970s. I met the $6 Million Man, Lee Majors, a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago for my birthday. It was one of my birthday gifts. And he signed one of my pieces of memorabilia back there. But met him. He was awesome. We talked. He told a joke. Very endearing. So it was awesome. My life is complete. But until, the next bucket list item, which is meeting Brody. Hopefully Brody will sign something. Maybe he'll sign my cleavage.
Yeah, okay. That in an HR approved way. In an
of course.
In a way that makes sense from.
Well, I'm sure that Brody gets asked that periodically. He probably has like a uniform stamp that he uses.
I'm pretty confident that doesn't occur. I'm good. I think if I were a betting person, I would get everyone to sign a shirt and raffle it off.
We should do that. Maybe we should we'll get one of the gray shirts, get the entire team to sign the shirt, and then we'll raffle it off. Yeah, that would be good. And maybe we raffle it off as part of maybe promotions of a Security Insights show conference that we're actually considering. So anyway.
Tell me more about that, Rod.
We'll leave that there for now.
Oh, okay. That's a fun little Easter egg that you planted, and now I'm going to be fixated on.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're all right? You're all right there?
Yes,
okay. All right. Just throwing that out there.
And
Gary says that would be awesome. So if Gary says it, we're definitely going to do it.
Well, because it's like you can't just Rod, I know you love power and control. You can't dangle something that fantastic and then just be like, oh, I'm so sorry. It just came out, but now is not the time. This is like, I feel like I'm in a late 80s soap opera. Like I'm in Dynasty, and you just came in and you just dropped a bomb, and now it's a cliffhanger for the next episode.
I love cliffhangers.
I know you do. I know.
Unless the show ends abruptly and then, there's never a finish to it. There's a few shows like that. Twin Peaks was one of those. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely Twin Peaks. So jumping back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, Ray, you work, what do you do with the Dex team, by the way? Defender expert.
Who is my daddy and what does he do? And that's a Schwarzenegger quote, everybody. That's not a genuine actual statement, but now it's
attributed to Ray forever.
Yeah. Fantastic. And yes, I do. That is so derivative. And that's why it's called a painting. Yes. Love it. Yes. What do I do? I am a senior product manager for the CXE team on behalf of Defender Experts, and CXE stands for Customer Experience Engineering. Essentially, I am the voice of the customer. I preach the good word of Defender Experts, but more than anything else, my focus is on collecting feedback from not just our customers in terms of those that have onboarded to the service, but prospective customers as well. In addition to customers, also meeting with partners and taking their temperature and seeing how we can combine forces and amplify the value and protection and security that we provide to customers globally. So in short, that is what I do on behalf of the Defender Experts team. More than anything else, it's, again, in that HR approved way, nudging, cajoling, and inspiring the feature product managers to either enhance and improve the feature set that we have today, or recalibrate, think more creatively around the value that we are providing to our customers. And that's why we've been able to be as successful as we've been, and we're finding even more success with that really robust feedback loop that we have in place today. So there is a special kind of magic within the Defender Experts, and we have the CXE team kind of championing and advocating on behalf of the customer experience, like literally. So it's nice not every team has it. CXE is a smaller group within the broader Microsoft machine, but when we are plugged into a product or a service, in this case, it makes all the difference.
Well, and I think that's important. And to be honest, I think unless you're a programmer or a developer at Microsoft, right? I think you're kind of in that feedback loop business almost, I think, because even in my role, I think we do a lot of that, right? So our perspective is that we have kind of this one to many conversation, grab the feedback. And I think from your perspective, from customer experience, it's more kind of the one-to-one conversation. You're working focused on a single customer, which I think is super important and super valuable to those customers that get that extra, that extra oomph for
Absolutely.
using our products, right?
1,000%. I've been on the other side of the customer equation. That's actually part of the reason why I am here. When I, in my past life, there were conversations around, because I was basically IT manager for the collaboration and productivity stack. And there's some org changes essentially. And they're like, hey, we want to keep you, and we're going to shift the role to focus more broadly across the Microsoft stack. And it would be a lot of high touch engagement in a different way than I wanted my career to progress. But more than anything else, I was like, listen, I know the pain points. And this is during COVID, right? So I had a soft spot for Microsoft. I'm like, if I'm going to focus and go all in on Microsoft, I'm going to go to the mothership and do it. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to cause some mayhem and havoc and say, what's going on here and what's happening there? And we can do better, and we should be doing better because their products and solutions actually make a difference. I've seen it in real life, and there's still so much more work for us to do. And that vim and that intensity got me here, and that's exactly what I bring to the Defender Experts team. And that is actually how we were built. So we were engineered differently. We don't use the word poached, but the folks that established the team came across from the Defender stack, the folks that actually built the Defender products, right? And the folks that shore up the threat hunting team, the analyst team, the research team, they were all like basically MVPs. And I don't mean that in the technical Microsoft MVP way. I mean, they were all the major players, heavy hitters from their individual squad. Like if they came from detection and response team, like DART, or the incident response team, the heavy hitters, the like elite squad, special forces, and we brought them all together. Like we're doing something new. We're doing something that Microsoft hasn't really done in this very specific way, and creating that close relationship, developing that trust. It is, I think, at the forefront of our overarching mission, but it becomes a bit challenging to do when you operate as the huge machine that is Microsoft. But if you operate almost as a startup that can harness the power of the machine that is Microsoft, you have a lot more agility and ability to lock in with a customer and create those close strategic design partnerships. So I think that what you just shared about the closeness and the trust building has been instrumental.
Yeah. And I think one thing to highlight, well, at least in my mind, I'm noodling about this a little bit. I think yours is a little bit different too, in that do you consider Defender Experts a service or a product? Because I think the feedback from that perspective is a little bit different, right?
Oh, so we are definitely a service. A
Right.
service whose backbone is the Defender stack, right? And so we focus, if we look at our core offerings, this is not meant to be, this is not a sales marketing, but this is just reality of the service. Our core offerings are focused on what I refer to as the pillars of Defender, the 4 pillars of Defender: Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Office, Defender for Identity, and Defender for Cloud Apps. And we have previews right now. Essentially, we're expanding our scope of coverage to include Defender for Cloud and third-party signal ingestion. We are a service overlay. That said, what's the engine of our service is going to be our Defender suite, right? So we must show up as one Microsoft in those situations. We can't just say, oh, it's somebody else's problem. Not only can we not say it, because I fundamentally would refuse that way of engaging or interacting with anybody, again, because we have the empathy enough, but I especially, and some large part of our team as well, came as external folks who were customers of Microsoft. So it'll be a cold day in hell, unless obviously if it's Dante's Inferno, that was depicted hell as a cold place. But anywho, I'm going to show up and make sure that we represent as one Microsoft. So it's not a pass the buck hot potato situation. And that is what we do internally for Defender experts as well.
Yeah. I think also a little bit different, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. One of the things that I watch closely in my role, because of the things that I do, from a community and feedback loop perspective, I watch our MVP program, and I also watch our CCP program. If not, people aren't familiar with what those are. MVPs obviously are our customer and partner volunteers who amplify our products and volunteer their time to support others, which is super fantastic. But also our CTP, which is our customer connection program, which is almost like hate to say it's a beta program. It's really not. It's more of a, hey, use our early features, give us feedback so that we can improve them before they go public preview. That's also a super valuable program. Now, I don't think Dex even fits in either of those areas, does it? Are there Dex MVPs? Are there Dex feature CCP programs?
Well, we do have a Defender Experts customer connection program, and that actually emerged because, again, when we connect with customers, so basically this is Clippy, right? No, it's not Clippy. We leverage Gen AI. We are leveraging Security Copilot as well as other AI capabilities for sure, but it's a human-led service. And then chatting with folks, and you're like, okay, human-led, sure. And so really it was to showcase, again, the technical chops and the actual cybersecurity practitioners that are driving and delivering the service. And so customers are like, okay, cool. They're actual Defender experts. I've had customers chat with me and say, hey, is there an opportunity for us to pay additional fees to have one-on-one sessions with Defender experts? We really just kind of want to pick their brain. And there's capability in our services. We call it Experts on Demand. You can have consultative insights or exchanges within the portal. We were like, listen, we'll do you one better. We're going to leverage the concept of the CCP or the customer connection program, which, to your point, Rod, historically has been like a road show of what's coming up on the roadmap to kind of validate if the feature PM instincts were aligned with the needs of the business and the customers, et cetera. We're going to leverage that model, and we're going to showcase the expertise of the threat hunters, the researchers, and the analysts, and even Edward participating in CCP, like folks who have been in the trenches or have participated in SOC activity and who understand the Defender mindset and have that Microsoft perspective to share. And so we would bring them in for either 30 minutes or upwards of an hour. And they would either share an actual situation that they worked on, or a passion project or a passion area that they wanted to do a deep dive on. And the customers would have the opportunity to either come off mute to basically have a conversation, interact with an actual Defender expert. They could chat with them in text. So it is been well received, and folks were like, hey, the only ding was, which is funny, it's not even a ding, like, you only offered one session. Our group is actually distributed. Can you offer 2 sessions? And I was like, oh my goodness, yes. And we got that request because our customers are global, right? And we did our best to find the one slot where it's like good enough across the board, across the various time zones that we have. But instead we said, listen, we'll do you one better. We'll have multiple options here. So each month we'd have 2 instances that folks could participate in. And we'd have basically 2 speakers, 2 topics, and we'd collect ideas and requests basically from the customers, like, what do you want to hear about? What do you want to talk to our folks about? Because it's really their time where they basically have a Defender expert is captive as the instructor, and that knowledge transfer is so crucial, not just for the service, but community overall, more broadly speaking. So it wasn't hard to get. The hardest thing was to convince management to let them, because it's a follow the sun model. So to make sure we had the coverage at the time for the hour, basically, that they would be participating, like, we're good to go, fantastic. Because people, when they get into this field, they are activated, they're intrinsically motivated, and they are passionate about what they do, and to have the opportunity to share what they've done, and then to have that bi-directional conversation. Like, I'm sharing with you my experience. Here's how I approach it. Here's the Defender mindset that I leverage, and the questions from the customers also help inform and shape our defenders, right? And how they tackle concepts and what they keep top of mind as well.
Yeah. So I guess in a way, so not only do you have kind of a CCP focus for customers to be able to participate for decks, but I think in a way also, if they participate in any of the Defenders CCP areas, they're helping to improve decks in the long run anyway. So they really are kind of sort of participating in it without even maybe potentially.
I would say that typically with the CCP for a product focus, it's more of that roadmap experience and less of that knowledge share, the knowledge transfer, so to speak, or the upskilling. But definitely zooming out, when our products become more powerful, then our service becomes that much more powerful. Absolutely.
So I'm looking on the Ignite site. Do you know what kind of focus we'll have for Defender experts at Microsoft Ignite?
Great question, Rod.
It is, isn't it? I'm looking. And maybe asked me anything about Microsoft Ignite. We actually have a co-pilot on the Microsoft Ignite site. Let's see.
Ask the expert. Ask the co-pilot.
So let's do this live, just so people
we're doing it live.
know. Yeah, there's no smoke and mirrors here. We really do have the co-pilot down here. Ask me anything about Microsoft Ignite. So we should probably ask, are there any sessions that cover Microsoft, if I could write type,
that are exclusively dedicated to Defender experts?
Sessions that loosely, I'll use Ray's word.
I said exclusively. I did not say.
You said exclusively. Others said loosely.
I did. Yes, that's good sound there.
No, I think I want more of the kind of the loosely cover Defender experts. All right, let's see. My event assistant says it's generating the answer. It's taking a little bit. It's thinking about it. It's AI. It really wants to please me. It may pull up something that's not even. Let's see. I don't see anything with Defender experts in the title. I'm sure they're going to talk about it. Maybe that's a partner area. What's that?
Is it a partner area, was your question?
Yeah. Would that be a partner area, maybe? Potentially?
Well, we play very nicely with partners as well. So the reason why my guidance was to incorporate exclusively in the prompt, essentially, is because, to your earlier point, Defender experts is a service overlay. And the bedrock is the Defender stack. So in the Defender focus sessions, they'll touch on Defender experts versus having real estate dedicated specifically to Defender experts as a service.
Well, that makes sense. It really does. I don't know where I was going with that. I thought maybe there might be something in the session schedule. I'm sure it's going to be talked about quite a bit, but at the same time, and I'm sure we'll talk about it during the keynote.
I mean, it's embedded within the DNA of if you're talking, because with our service, you don't need to have the full Defender stack deployed. And forgive me, I'm feeling sensitive. Like this is not a marketing. This is not a pitch. So anyone in the comments can be like, please stop with the pitching. It's not genuinely. You just don't need to have the entire Defender stack deployed and enabled. At least one Defender solution active in the environment is going to provide value, and we're able to pull in that telemetry. Our hunters or analysts are able to have visibility enough to monitor, investigate, validate, and respond to cases. Now, obviously, the more Defender products that you have enabled and in use within the environment, you're going to get more value from it, right? But in all of the Defender focused conversations, right, the Defender workload is going to take the prime real estate, the spotlight there. And it's a natural, organic evolution of the conversation, of the dialogue, to talk about Defender experts as a service, right? And so to have a dedicated, I don't know, kiosk or a dedicated session specifically for Defender experts, absolutely, we can do it. I'm going to be in attendance. So if anybody wants to have those conversations, feel free to reach out. We're happy to connect with you. But it makes more sense to focus the conversation on the workloads customers are interested in hearing about. And then the partner piece, again, the discussion around Defender experts is relatively new, to be fair, in terms of how it fits within the partner ecosystem. But I have seen it, and we're working on case studies where we play nice. It is a win-win-win across the board. It's a win for Microsoft, it's a win for the partner, and it's most importantly, it's a win for the customer. So I imagine in next Ignite, we'll have more dedicated partner led conversations around Defender experts for sure.
Yeah, of interest maybe to our audience. We had when was it? It was earlier this year that we had a couple people from the Defender experts team on. That was Brian Hooper and
Phoebe Rogers.
Phoebe.
And we also had folks from this Halloween episode with the campfire stories. Yeah. So those were folks on the threat hunting side of the Defender experts house. And I work with them very closely, and they're participating in the webinar on this Wednesday. But we've definitely had Defender experts representation, but more than anything else, my goal is always to get the folks who are actually protecting the orgs in front of the community, because it just makes sense. They have the technical know-how, and they are very passionate, very committed to what they do.
Yeah. Brian, I don't know if you know this, but we're working with him right now to potentially come on and guest host with us, maybe December or January. December is going to be interesting for us for the show because obviously the holidays. So I'm at Ignite next week. Thanksgiving is the following week, right? So most of us are gone for that. I have to work a week. Then I'm in Toronto for the AI tour, and then I'm literally taking off the rest of the year. So, and I think a lot of people are like that as well. I don't know, but from our show perspective, we have next week we have Jess Dodson from Australia to talk about Microsoft Sentinel horror stories. Maybe she should have been on the Halloween episode. I don't know, but
well, is she going to be at Ignite?
No, but we will be doing the show from Ignite. I hope you remembered that, because I'm not doing it by myself. No, I will if I have to. I will have to.
Yes, but I didn't know if Jess was going to be at Ignite, because we could all do.
No, Jess will not be, unfortunately.
Okay.
So
because she's also on the conference circuit too.
She is. I think she just spoke at something more recently. But from where she's at as well. Interesting story. They wanted me to travel to Sydney the week after Toronto, which made no sense. I'm not doing that now, but almost got a chance to go. But anyway, right. So Jess is next week. Brian will be coming on either December or January. I did also want to share, we're getting close to the end of the hour, but just because of the question earlier about will the slides be shared for those things that aren't recorded, I'm not going to give this whole deck. So, don't worry, Ray. I see you're frightened.
No, Gary, I don't know Gary personally, but then John as well. But that would be a long show.
It
And so
would be a
I love
long show, wouldn't it? Yeah. So this is the slide deck actually of what I'll be presenting next week on developing security copilot plugins. So there's kind of the agenda. What?
No, I had just riffed on that earlier today. It was just like literally within this hour. I was like, oh, well, we could talk about how to put together. Sometimes I'm a little bit eerie. Scary Ray Mary is what they didn't call me, but probably should have called me if they were like even the least bit susical in their approach.
Here's the one thing I'm gonna. This is all we'll talk. So we'll talk about the manifest file, the OpenAI specification. We'll talk about all that stuff. It's a very short session, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to speak as fast as possible. But one of the things I wanted to kind of point out that I'll be talking about as well is kind of one of these gotcha moments. And I want to highlight this before our episode is over today. This is super important. There's a lot of really cool first party and third party plugins in Security Copilot already, right? There's a lot of capability, a lot of threat intelligence, a lot of good source data. And if you have it connected, say to your Microsoft Sentinel environment or your Defenders or whatever, or even how Dex uses Security Copilot, it's going to work. It's going to do a great job straight out of the box, if it were a box as much. But I see a lot of people super interested in kind of this security framework or this framework that we had developed at Microsoft. It's very extensible in that you can literally plug anything into it with the plugin. And it's very kind of an open platform where you can, if you have an API or a GPT instance or even use KQL, you can plug anything, any source data into here to make Security Copilot more intelligent really quickly. You have to be mindful and careful because we've seen this most recently. And I've done this myself. I've had my hands smacked a couple times. They're like, Rod, this is a great plugin, but why did you create that plugin? We already have that capability over here in this thing, right? For example, as part of this session, one of the easiest plugins to create other than a KQL plugin is the ip-api.com has a free API that you can grab and, do anything with that you want. In fact, I have logic apps that I utilize with it. You can create a Security Copilot plugin really easy because it's a free API. You just plug in the key and install it, enable it, and you can ask about any IP address and get all that free information about that IP address or that domain. I don't know if you know this, but Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence, the license that comes with Security Copilot now includes kind of a who am I or, who is type of domain query system. So you just ask about the IP address or the domain, and Defender for Threat Intelligence does that now. The unfortunate thing is if you create something that capability is already there, they collide and you're going to get bad responses or you're going to get no response, or sometimes it's going to pull the wrong. It's kind of stupid sometimes in that manner. So only create if it's super necessary.
So that's like before you start engineering the plugin, you want to validate that capability is not already accounted for and provided.
Right. And the easiest way to do that, and I'm pulling up Security Copilot here, you can see real quick. Easiest way to do that is actually look through the system capabilities, right? So most of them, if they're developed correctly, most plugins will have the system capabilities listed as part of the manifest for those plugins. So if I go in and look at system capabilities, for example, for Azure Firewall, it gives me some examples of things you could absolutely do with this, right? So I can do a search, and if I do a search for like IP address, there's my plugin, but there's IP stuff, throughout some of these things, right? So if you just search for it, see if the system capabilities exist already. If it exists already, don't create that plugin because you're going to create this kind of functionality collision, make this intelligent security service maybe dumb. So Just want to throw that out there. But those are the slides. I'll be sharing those at the end. There's our picture of Jess, who we'll be talking to next week on the show. But that's next week. Hopefully everybody will tune in. That will be, so it's Monday. Interesting from a Microsoft Ignite perspective, we have a pre-day that starts at 12:30 on Monday that lasts through like 5 or 5:30, something like that. So I'll be at McCormick Center during that period of time, and then I'm going to have to rush back to the hotel, or maybe even find a little boardroom or a little office there at McCormick Center so we can do the show. So
all together.
All together.
Well,
hopefully
Edward is going to be in his other business obligation, but he'll still be participating in the show.
I believe so. Edward takes off out of the country in a few weeks, I think. There'll be a couple shows he won't be with us, but that's why there's 4 of us. There's always someone and at least one other buddy. I don't think we've ever had a show where it was just one person. I'd be okay to do that. I don't know what I would talk about at that point, and people would be like, I don't know why I listen anymore, but
I'm sure folks would still tune in for just you, Rod. But I think that's also why Edward recruited Brian Hooper, which Brian Hooper is just so knowledgeable about just life in general. You can ask him anything and he'll have some wisdom to share, just beyond cyber, beyond like the most esoteric topic he will be able to have a discussion around.
So for our audience, when you see on the schedule that Brian is joining us, from what I understand, he's super intelligent about Mesopotamia.
No.
So bring all of your questions about Mesopotamia.
I said, Brian's like, you're always tagging me in these threads. Like, Brian, I just feel like you are the go-to individual across the board, because he's been also at Microsoft decades, and it doesn't look a day over when he graduated college, right? And so he's just like, you're always tagging me. I'm like, Brian, you're the dude with the info. I feel like we could have a conversation about. And I pulled out ancient Mesopotamia, and when Brian had he's like, well, actually, shush, Brian, because he pulled out stuff that he actually studied in school, and he's like, I just want you to know that as my minor, I was like, I'm done listening now, Brian. You are just too smart for me. My brain can't compute. I need to de-stimulate now.
See, that would interest me. I love the History Channel.
I bet, Rod.
I do. I love the History Channel. It's one of my favorite channels. So I think I probably subscribe to every streaming service that exists, except for we watch Hulu for like local channels and a lot of kind of the live stuff. I would love to do YouTube TV because the interface is really cool, but they don't have History Channel. That's the only thing keeping me from YouTube TV is the History Channel.
I absolutely must have it. I love science documentaries, and before the 2020 situation, I studied epidemiology. That was my first master's degree, and it was because I love to study outbreaks. I love to study like parasites. That was like not a hyperfixation, but like a personal passion of mine, like a hot topic for me. I can have conversations around that. Why am I getting so creepy? Like putting my little hands together, because that's what I like. So I get that you very obvious, like the history thing, not surprised by. You put on a science documentary for me, all over. I don't care what kind you want to do, like super string theory. Let's go for it. I like more like biological, like warfare. That's cool. And just like natural, like, just now. Why am I doing this again? Predatory, like parasitic behavior. I geek out for that stuff.
We'll have to investigate your tiny hand.
I know I do. This is my towel. I'm like a little ferret.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at top of the hour. Appreciate all of our audience that joined us and our listeners as you're listening to this. Like I said, we will be at Microsoft Ignite next week. This week is just literally focused on finalizing everything that we'll be involved in next week. It's going to be I'm really looking forward to it. It's Chicago in November, which normally would be super cold, but I've looked at the forecast and it's not really going to be that bad. It's just,
Global
it's weird
warming.
for this time of year. So it's going to be good. Just wear layers and comfortable shoes. And I was trying to think. Oh, my wife and my youngest daughter will be with me, so I may have to. We'll probably doing dinner and stuff like that at night. I think they're going to do some shopping, maybe some the museum, the aquarium, and things like that. So they're going to have a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah, I rarely like to travel anymore without my wife. I don't know. I guess I like her. So.
Oh, this is sweet. I think somebody's trying to work on me becoming their wife, and I'm gonna have I use you and Edward as like my model. Like if you don't treat me the way that Edward and Rod treat their wives, then it's no go for me. So he's working on it. He's working on his business plan to convince me.
Oh, so that's something I guess maybe we'll use to discuss at a later show. So.
Okay. Very good.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ray, for joining with me tonight. Thank you for talking about decks. You actually cleared up a bunch of stuff, some questions I had about that. You did. Don't
Thank you
dismiss
for
that.
the space to represent. I think some folks, they don't understand what exactly is the defender expert experience. If you know, you know, and we're such a huge machine that it's tough to keep track of everything happening.
Yeah. So for our listeners, join us for our Ignite episode next week. And I think we're also going to plan. I have this thing over here. I don't know if you've seen this. So it's like these little lapel microphones.
Okay, that looked like a destination device, and it was like, we're not doing speed, Rod. We agreed.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. If you go below a certain speed, then it'll blow up. No, I think we're gonna do some kind of impromptu interviews and things from the show floor next week. Maybe from some of the folks. Mark Simos will be there next week. Mark Rusanovich, a bunch of folks that we know that we would like to talk to and listen to. So
We're
maybe
just
we'll
gonna
have some
that pop quiz.
And Brody is he's our TikToker. He's been doing our TikToks. We have a TikTok channel. Why do I say it like that? This is weird.
I feel like that is the kind of energy you need to bring to it. And I think it's very ironic that Brody was like not super excited about another thing, but now he's like, this is my thing, everyone. And we're like, that's beautiful, Brody. We love that you found your path.
I think probably kind of the induction to a TikTok is you have to dance, right? Do some kind of dance. Maybe we'll get Brody to dance for us next.
We have to choreograph something. So I look to you, Rod, for your.
I'm thinking it has to be the Saturday Night Fever. We'll capture him without him knowing, walking down the hallway, and then we'll stick it to Saturday Night Fever music.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. But yes, let's do a candid of Brody walking around.
Yeah, I think people will appreciate it.
We'll figure it out.
You've given me a great idea. Thank you for that.
I take no credit. Just you can have all the credit.
I appreciate that. All right. Till next week, we have Jess Dotson on for our Ignite special, and that is going to be a special episode. Jess is awesome. So
yes.
She'll have a lot to share with us. So we will talk to you all next week.